the hard decisions in our life are the ones where both decisions are right. You can justify both logically. Why is it when you draw that, line down the page and you compare and contrast, you can make the case for both angles. That's where it's hard, right? And he said that there are 4 dilemmas, what I call value conflicts, or I think he actually used that phrase at some points too. A value conflict is the reason a decision is hard is because these 4 reasons, and write this down, really powerful. Here's why your decision is hard. Based off of everything we talked about, if you still can't get there, it's you're stuck in a value dilemma. That's what he called it, a values dilemma or a decision dilemma. The decision dilemma or the values dilemma is coming from 4 areas. Because see, it is right either way when you face these dilemmas. Here's the dilemmas he talked about. The first decision dilemma is individual versus community. It's a choice where you're like, it's right for me to go do this for myself, but it's also right to stay and do this for them, right? Parents going through a divorce, right? It's right for me to want to go be happy and live my life and get out of this relationship. It also feels right to stay and take care of the kids. And we create this dilemma in our head, right? Or, you know what? I want to go leave this job, but I love my coworkers. I don't want to leave them. It's right for me to be a good, steward here or good leader here. And so the decisions in our life, like when you leave your home or you leave your town, it's right for me to, as an individual, to go to a new city. But it's also right to stay here and to care for my family or be around my friends. I don't want to leave them, right? That's an individual choice versus a social choice, community, individual versus community. And sometimes that's a hard one, right? That's a really hard one. You have to recognize when your brain is there, it's like, oh, wait, which one right now deserves this prioritization? What's right for me as an individual versus what's right for the community. Next up, tough decisions. Oh, this one's the hardest one for me. Another dilemma is justice versus mercy. Justice versus mercy. To forgive a person and stay, or to get justice and burn the house down and leave. Oh my God, that's the hard one, right? Oh, this one is so difficult. To forgive is, a spiritual or even a Christian ethic, It's like forgive the person, but also want them to go to jail and suffer. Whoa, okay, both feel right. When someone has wronged you, you can make the case for, I should forgive them, but also, gosh, I hope they get run over. It's like, so this is a big decision. It's really hard. Justice versus mercy. Third, truth versus loyalty. It's right to tell the truth, but it's also right to keep the confidence or the loyalty with another person. It's like, okay, it's right to speak up for myself, but it's also right to be loyal and not hurt feelings. Ugh, these are hard, right? These are hard. Then last, short-term decision versus long-term decision. This is why I started with point number 1 about strategic versus impulsive, because most people make a short-term decision because of discouragement and impulse, and they forget the long-term. Our culture now has really thrown out the long-term. We've thrown out the long-term thinking in business by making it quarterly earnings reports. We've thrown out the long-term in politics by making our election cycles so fast and so vitriolic. We have thrown out long-term thinking, which is why most Americans have never saved any money. We have completely cast aside the future for instant and immediate gratification. It's one of the dominant reasons people make terrible decisions in their life. It's that short term, right? Almost every addiction is a short-term pleasure, short-term choice. Almost every negative emotional outburst was a short-term feeling being expressed. And However, though, sometimes short-term makes sense, right? Short-term pleasure, take that day off, take that break. We got to do those things. So again, you can argue both short-term's good and long-term, but you got to really think through them. And once you've thought through these, now you're in a strategic game. And I would say these are all really important. I know lots of people who didn't take a good job because they felt a loyalty to community to stay in their hometown. Matter of fact, where I grew up in Montana, I'd say most of my friends did not ever leave their town or their state because they had loyalty to community